It's the talk of New York, Tony Yayo. Most people would say that is 50 Cent's right-hand man, the one he trusts the most out of all his artists. And it makes sense because Tony Yayo started as a drug dealer with 50 Cent in Queens, New York. He was one of the original members of G-Unit with Lloyd Banks and 50. And personally, I was a big fan of Yayo on the mixtapes when they used to put out all those mixtapes on the street. He had a different style to Banks and 50. I think brought a nice blend to the whole group. I think Yayo got overlooked quite a lot at the time, purely because 50 was the main artist that everyone was looking forward to listening to. And Banks had obviously the punchlines. When 50 blew up, Yayo was incarcerated at the time, but he did feature on a couple songs on the first G-Unit album in 2003 called Beg for Mercy. His album was the last to be released out of all the G-Unit members. That came out in 2005, and the album was called Thoughts of a Predicate Felon. Although all the members of G-Unit went platinum at the time, Yayo's album went gold, which was still seen as a success because it did have big singles like So Seductive, Pimpin' and Curious. A lot of people feel like his album was actually mismanaged as he had a lot of good songs on the album, song for song, but gold was still a respectable achievement back in those days. But that was the only official release from Tony Yayo during his time on G-Unit. Most of the music he put out were mixtapes from around 2008 to this present day. The most notable mixtapes were Godfather of the Ghetto in 2009 and El Chapo 3 Great Escape in 2017. But he also wasn't a stranger to controversies. As I mentioned earlier, he did some prison time. That's why his album didn't come out till 2005. His offense was weapons possession. He had to do some time. He also, as a member of G-Unit, inherited the game beef as well, Fat Joe, Ja Rule, and the Locks. Probably the most controversial thing that Tony Yayo was involved with was in 2007 when him and an associate called Lodi Mac were accused of smacking a young child, which happened to be Jimmy Henchman's son. Jimmy Henchman at the time was Game's manager, so that was inherited, that beef kind of spilled out onto the street level. Yayo would eventually be cleared of the actual assault, but unfortunately his friend Lodi Mac was killed in retaliation to the smack, and Jimmy Henchman was eventually found guilty of ordering the hit on Lodi Mac. It was around this time G-Unit kind of was breaking up. A lot of members had issues with 50. 50 had a lot of issues with the other crew as well. 50 was always saying that the rest of the team weren't really working, and he had to guide them through every step of their careers, and he was tired of doing it. And it's kind of built a lot of resentment within the group. But Yayo and 50 are back being cool now. 50's been performing in America and around the world as well. And Yayo's been there playing hype man as he was back in the day, which is cool to see. And Tony Yayo's also been quite present online. He recently began being a regular guest on DJ Vlad's channel. He also has a podcast as well, which is doing quite decent. But in summary of his career, he was never meant to be the biggest rapper in G-Unit, but I do like the fact that he's proactively out there doing different things with the podcasting and still releasing music. What do you think about Tony Yayo's musical career with G-Unit? Do you think he's an underrated rapper? What do you think about his recent resurgence into the online world of podcasting and interviews? He's done a few classics. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's Fresh Hip Hop Opinion. Peace and love.